Well, good morning, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? I am fine. One note before we start, if you have Roku and you use the clicker, so like, you have one of these, right? The Roku gang. So I was using mine the other day and I got it. I was on YouTube and I had to skip it. You know how it goes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, skip, and you don't have to see another minute of commercials. So I did that. My fingers, I had like barbecue sauce from the chicken, and I put it on some of the dials. And all of a sudden, I couldn't go to the right that much. And then it kept scrolling down. So I couldn't stop it. I couldn't go, oh, YouTube, Netflix, stop, click into it. Normally it's just one at a time. But I had done something where it just kept scrolling. I turned off the TV. I changed batteries. It didn't matter. Once this gets wet, I guess, then it's not good. So I went to Walmart yesterday and reconfirmed with their electronic guys that it was the clicker. I bought this for $9. This is AA, not AAA. Maybe it's stronger. And came home and it worked fine. So if you ever have that problem on your TV where it's rolling, you can't get to the menu, you can't get to Netflix or YouTube or Pluto, the problem's the clicker. The TV was fine. You could see the TV. You can turn it on and off manually. So it was funny. And I'm going, shit, I hope I don't need a new TV. But it worked out fine. So that's the answer. So if you ever have that rolling, I guess these are cheap and they wear out, especially if you get a little wet or something. So just go buy a new one. I tried using older ones, but for some reason they didn't work. Probably because this is a Roku TV and they have to be programmed. This is actually a universal. This is actually a universal from GE. So it'll work on any Roku. So just FYI. Let's look at gold. Gold is 33.40. I mean, look at the joke. It goes between 33.60 and 33.40, and that's it. It ends 33.50. It'll go back up to 33.50, 33.60. It's such a joke. It's caught in this range for no reason. There's not a lot of options you can do with it because it's not like 3,400 to 3,300 you're doing options. This is just, I think, Trump trying to get you into stablecoin, which will lead to our first discussion on stablecoins. So I did a thing on what is a stablecoin? What is it backed by more than likely? So here, what is a stable coin? Stable coins has emerged as a pivotal innovation in the financial landscape, bridging the gap between cryptocurrencies and traditional fiat currencies. I didn't know there was a gap. There's no gap between gold and dollars or anything else. By maintaining consistent value, stablecoins facilitate seamless transactions, making them indispensable for various financial applications. What is a stablecoin? It's a type of digital asset designed to maintain a stable value, which is bullshit. By pegging its worth to a reserve asset, such as fiat currency like the US dollar, a commodity like gold, or a basket of assets. Well, this one's is going to be reserved to the dollar. This stability addresses the more inherent volatility often found in other cryptocurrencies, making stablecoins especially suitable for everyday transactions. They play a crucial role in payments, remittance, decentralized finance, and cross-border payment solutions. Oh, I can't use my credit card. That was really difficult. That would take all of 5 seconds to go to the gas station, pay with my credit card, and that's it. Oh, this is so much better. There's stable value. Well, first of all, there is no stable value. That's a bunch of bullshit. Says that users can transfer funds without the risk of significant value fluctuations during the transaction. Don't know what they're talking about. When I use my credit card, especially in the US, there is no fee like that. If I'm outside the country, well, of course you're going to get it. Fiat-backed stablecoins. These stablecoins are backed one-to-one by reserves of fiat currencies such as the US dollar. Each token issued corresponds to an equivalent amount held in a regulated bank account. Popular example includes Ripple, I never heard of, Circle, and Tether. Never heard of any of those. Commodity backs would be Paxos Gold, which is still not physical gold. Crypto-backed stablecoins, they're backed by digital assets and are typically over-colorized to absorb price volatility. One example is, I don't even know, algorithm stablecoins. These maintain value by using a smart contract. Look at all the bullshit in here. So we know how stablecoins are. They're a cryptocurrency, so we don't like them already, designed to maintain a stable value by pegging into an external asset like fiat currencies. So as far as I know, it'll be backed by the dollar and not by gold. So what does that mean to us? Do we want it? No, we want gold. Why not? Well, why don't you want stable coins? Because they're backed by monopoly money. This is worthless. So anything attached to it is worthless. Again, they missed the whole point. Do you want to be controlled? Stable coins apparently control you. No, I don't want, if I go to, Vegas and I use for my hotel and my food and things like that, I don't want them knowing that, they can see on my credit cards that I went to Vegas, but that's it. So that's what we have. It's just pure BS. As far as that goes, there's absolutely. Stablecoin has apparently made Trump $2 billion. How? Because I guess he got it and now he's pricing it. And at that price, he's made $2 billion. Sounds just pretty illegal, right? So I don't know how he made $2 billion. So my advice is they're not backed by anything. You don't want to be controlled. Digital, I don't trust because it's not real. It will collapse. It can't be stable. Because the dollar moves. The dollar's not fixed. Gold's not fixed anything. So how can a stable coin be stable and fixed? And why is that the end all be all of that? Because in the US, we don't really give a shit. If I go to Vegas and just as if I'm in Detroit and I go to a restaurant or grocery store, $50, that's what I'm paying. Why do I need to give up my credit card or debit card? It has to be backed by your dollars. Well, that's what my debit card is, backed by my dollars. What's the difference? So I'm really confused as far as what this is. And a bill passed. All I see is all the BRICS countries going on gold. So Trump thinks, in other words, Trump knows the dollar's gone, right? He must know that. That's why he's doing these tariffs to pay the debt off, or to pay the deficit, or to balance the budget. And now he's going to stable coin as a way to not use dollars, although you need dollars to back the stable coin. So if you spend $100, you got to have $100 in your bank, just like you do in a debit card. So what's the difference? None. If I'm in a different country, does it really matter? If I'm in, I went to Italy. So if I'm in Italy, do I want to use a stable coin? I got to have the money for it. I just assume use my credit cards. And if I have to pay a little bit more, it's instant. I go give it to the waiter. Ding, ding, ding. He rings it up. No time at all. I don't really know what they're talking about. And it's not, and to say it's stable is ridiculous. To say it's real is even more ridiculous. So don't get confused with the stable coin. If it's not backed by physical gold, it's not real. Just like the dollar needs to be backed by physical gold. That's it. Period. End of story. This is not backed by anything. It's worthless. The fact it moves around is because it's not backed by anything. So it's worthless. But if you have stable coins, it ain't stable. Number one. Who cares if it's stable? Number two. Only if you're traveling out of the country does it matter. Maybe for trade it matters, but not for me and you going to Vegas, going to California, New York, Illinois. Doesn't matter. That won't be a difference. So that's the key to it. It's not real. It's crypto. Crypto is not real. Only physical gold is real money. This is not real. This is monopoly money. So you think if stablecoin is backed by this, it's worth more than that? Or, well, we'll get people to pay us in stablecoin instead of, because the dollar's not worth anything, but the stablecoin will be worth something because it's backed by the dollar. And if they have gold, just make gold-backed currency. Oh, but Trump made $2 billion on this. Oh. All right. So let's see. There's this Trump video. Then we'll get into baseball in a minute.
Earn more with high-yield cash from Robinhood Gold. Every day, the Fed prints an average of 465 million. Midnight in Washington, the board flashes green.
Okay, this is stablecoin and Trump.
122 as the vote explodes across the chamber. Stablecoins are now U.S. law. Within hours, billions shift into digital wallets, banks warn of a run, and retail giants scramble to mint their own money. At the center, Donald Trump, signing the bill that could rip billions from Wall Street while his own crypto empire swells past $2 billion in profit. This isn't regulation. It's a rewiring of the American dollar in real time. Just 3 years ago, that would have been unthinkable. In the wake of the FTX collapse, stablecoins were the suspicious cousin of an industry Congress barely understood. Now, under the Genius Act, they have a government-issued rulebook and a president with personal stakes measured in hundreds of millions. The final House vote, 308.
So can't that be illegal that Trump's in it and yet he passes the bill for stablecoin and he has stablecoin? How illegal is that? You're not supposed to be in something you're passing. So I'm really suspicious of Trump. And after watching that thing on Barbara Walters where he's just a crook, I really have questions regarding this guy. He's not honest. And this is about him, not about us. And why? Tell me why I should be in stablecoin.
122 looked bipartisan. But the Senate's earlier 68-30 approval was the real shockwave. Lawmakers who had built careers on skepticism toward digital currency flipped almost in unison. For some, it was a nod to innovation. For others, it was a nod to the man in the Oval Office. Donald Trump's ties to crypto aren't whispered. They're documented.
Now notice the Bitcoins. They always put them as these gold coins, as if Bitcoin's gold and it's an actual coin. These are not Bitcoins. These are gold coins, but not Bitcoin. So why does Bitcoin do that? Aren't they secure that what they have is real? Or are they saying, well, look, it's gold? Well, that's not a Bitcoin. A Bitcoin isn't real. There is no, if it was like that, I would be into Bitcoin, but they're not. They're not real. This is a gold coin. I've seen it on eBay a lot of times. So I don't know what the hell they're talking about, how these are Bitcoin, how these are real. It just makes no sense.
World Liberty Financial, a platform linked to the Trump Organization, runs its own branded token and now its own stablecoin. According to Bloomberg, ventures like this have added over $620 million to Trump's net worth in the past year alone. In total, crypto now makes up a significant slice of his estimated $6.4 billion fortune. The Genius Act's requirements are straightforward in text, but honestly, sweeping in consequence. One-to-one reserves for every digital dollar issued, assets held in cash or short-term treasuries, and monthly public audits. That means issuers can no longer rely on the shadowy reserves that once plagued the sector. For stablecoins, legitimacy just got codified into law. But here's where the air turns heavier. The very framework designed to protect the public now sits in the hands of someone who directly profits from the market's growth. Ethical concern isn't theoretical, it's structural. When the rulemaker is also a beneficiary, confidence and suspicion grow in equal measure. On signing day, Trump wasted no time touting the bill as a victory for American innovation. Within hours, shares of crypto-linked companies surged. Ethereum's price spiked to a year high. Bank analysts who had dismissed stablecoins as a fad were suddenly on earnings calls, acknowledging their threat to traditional payment systems.
So explain this. So if they thought it was a fad, they think it's a Ponzi scheme, why are they all of a sudden thinking it's real? It's the same thing. They're not backed by anything. The key to money is it backed by gold or not? If it's not backed by gold, it's not worth anything. Or some solid asset. Silver's fine. But if it's backed by nothing, it's nothing. The dollar's backed by nothing. The Bitcoin's backed by nothing. The stable coin will be backed by nothing. Crypto just means digital. It doesn't mean it's real. And they're trying to pass this off it's real so Trump can make this money, but Trump's too stupid to actually sell it and buy gold. He does have gold on his mantle in the White House, whatever that means. But, I just don't buy it. I think he's the one fucking around with the COMEX gold, keeping that price 33.50 to keep you out of gold into now we can go into stable coin and Bitcoin and all that shit, all the bullshit Ponzi schemes. Be very careful.
Consumers can send dollars instantly for pennies without a bank's involvement. Why keep a balance at all? Banks know what's at stake. JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon, Bank of America's Brian Moynihan, Citigroup's Jane Fraser, all have warned about the destabilizing effect of funds moving out of deposits and into digital wallets. And now, those wallets have federal legitimacy. That shift isn't just theoretical. Walmart, Amazon, and major U.S. banks are already mapping out their own stablecoins. These are the same corporations that a few years back called crypto untrustworthy. Now they're rebranding it as a seamless payments tool. The about face is so stark, it almost reads as parody, until you realize the race is already underway. While the Genius Act is phase one, another bill is waiting in the wings. The Clarity Act. This would define the entire crypto market structure, splitting regulatory oversight between the SEC and the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. Under it, most decentralized assets would move to CFTC jurisdiction, but the SEC would still act as the gatekeeper for anything resembling an investment contract. If passed, it would be the first full federal framework for digital assets. Trump wants it signed by September, but critics are pushing back harder here than they did with the Genius Act. They point to the risk of regulatory capture, where industry players shape rules in their favor. With a president so intertwined with crypto ventures, the optics are difficult to separate from the policy. Yet inside the industry, the mood is euphoric.
In order to really understand how staking works, it's important to remember that blockchains are decentralized.
Inside the industry, the mood is euphoric. Stablecoins are moving from speculative side bets to the rails of everyday finance debit cards, payroll deposits, cross-border transfers, point-of-sale purchases. The transformation is rapid. In this narrative, the Genius Act isn't just a bill. It's an on-ramp to an entirely new financial system. But let's step back, because in the scramble to celebrate, something larger is happening. The architecture of U.S. money itself is being redrawn. Not by central bankers, not by an independent commission, by a coalition of lawmakers and private executives whose fortunes are tied to the outcome. Consider this. Stablecoins under the Genius Act can be issued by private corporations, backed by government-approved assets, and circulated globally. They'll look and feel like dollars, but the issuers, not the Fed, will control the mechanics. In practice, this could decentralize certain functions of the dollar while centralizing profits into the hands of a few major issuers. There's another angle. World Liberty Financial, flush from a $2 billion investment commitment from Abu Dhabi, is not just a market participant. It's now positioned as a flagship example of how to operate under the new rules. Half of that investment is in its own WLFI tokens. The other half goes to settling debts and funding expansion. It's a self-financing loop, enabled by the very law the president just signed. So, banks are adapting, but this adaptation, well, it comes with risk. Issuing their own stablecoins could cut fees and streamline payments, but it could also, cannibalize their core deposits. Once those dollars move into a token ecosystem, they may never return to traditional accounts. That's a slow bleed to their balance sheets, and honestly, they know it. In parallel, the administration has rolled back certain enforcement priorities. Crypto firms previously targeted by the SEC are now finding friendlier ground in Washington. Executives are meeting at the White House. Bank participation is being encouraged, not just tolerated. The pivot from confrontation to collaboration has been rapid and, frankly, profitable. Ethics watchdogs are tracking all of this closely. The Center for Responsibility in Politics called the overlap between Trump's public role and private benefit a case study in conflicted governance. The concern isn't just corruption, it's systemic fragility. If the public perceives that laws are written to enrich their authors, trust in both the market and the state erodes. Still, supporters argue that the old system was broken. Without clear rules, stablecoins operated in legal gray zones, vulnerable to sudden crackdowns and market panics. Now they say the United States can lead the world in regulated digital finance, attracting investment and innovation instead of watching it flow to offshore havens. The divide is sharp. Is this reform, or is it rent-seeking wrapped in reform's clothing? The answer may depend on whether these tokens remain stable over time, or whether, like other financial innovations before them, they expand until they break. Phase 2 will test that. If the Clarity Act passes, the entire digital asset market, not just stablecoins, will have a defined place in the U.S. financial framework. Exchanges, DeFi protocols, and token issuers will know their regulator, their reporting duties, their reserve requirements. It's a blueprint for bringing crypto into the mainstream. But a blueprint is only as good as the builder's intent. And here, the builders have portfolios to protect. That's the inescapable backdrop to every press conference, every floor speech, every signing ceremony. The stakes aren't only about how money moves, they're about who controls the lanes. As the ink dried on the Genius Act, markets surged. Investors piled into coins that had been stagnant for months. The signal was clear. Washington's posture toward crypto had flipped. The risk, of course, is that the market's exuberance could outpace the law's guardrails. Because even with one-to-one reserves and monthly audits, stablecoins aren't immune to crisis. Reserves can be mismanaged. Pegs can break under stress. And in a system where political fortunes are tied to financial products, the incentive to prop up a failing issuer rather than let market discipline take its course becomes a political calculation. That's the part most headlines miss. This isn't just about regulating a product. It's about intertwining the stability of the financial system with the stability of individual political fortunes. Once that connection is made, it's hard to unmake. In the months ahead, expect the first wave of bank-issued stablecoins to hit the market. Expect retail giants to roll out loyalty-linked tokens that double as spending cash. And expect debates over privacy, security, and centralization to intensify. Because while the Genius Act sidesteps the central bank digital currency question, it doesn't erase it. A dollar is still a dollar, whether issued by the Fed or by a corporate treasury, until the public decides otherwise. The irony. In trying to avoid a government-issued CBDC, the United States may be creating something functionally similar, only in private hands, with private profit. The control shifts, but the tracking, programmability, and integration into daily life could be just as pervasive. By the time the public notices, the infrastructure will be invisible. Payments will clear instantly. Fees will be minimal. Cross-border transfers will feel like sending a text message. And, behind that ease will be a network owned by entities with both market power and political influence. When historians look back, they may not focus on the headlines about personal wealth or partisan maneuvering. They'll see a moment when the definition of money itself began to shift, not in the abstract, but in law. The Genius Act was the first brick in a new wall. What comes next will decide who controls the gates. So the question isn't whether this is good for crypto, it's whether it's good for the country. And that answer won't come from the rally.
Okay, so in simple forms, everybody knows this is worthless. The government's starting to understand they've printed this to death. So they're thinking, well, what are we going to do? We don't have gold, which is always my thought, because gold's gold. What you're doing is saying, well, we'll use this crypto money. Well, it's not money. It's not real. Well, it'll be quick transactions. Oh, yeah, it takes so long for me to use my credit card. Oh, my God, it takes all of 5 seconds. What are they selling me? Okay, different borders. So what, you're going to buy China goods? Let's all convert it to US. It doesn't matter. So this is their way of understanding the dollar's broke. We need something else, but we don't have gold. So we're going to go to this digital bullshit crypto, which you can't control the price on because it's not real. They keep showing the gold Bitcoin, but it's not. It's gold. It isn't Bitcoin. It's a gold coin. I love that one. Oh, look at our Bitcoin. This is what your Bitcoin looks like. It looks like my hand. It looks like nothing. It's air. It's not real. Now, if you have to get paid in stablecoin instead of dollars, that's going to be a problem. You don't want that. You want to hold on to your dollars as long as you can. You do not want to be paid in stablecoin because where can you use it? And when it's used, it's controlled and they know where you're spending it. So maybe Social Security, I'll have to get paid in stablecoin. But the question is, can I pay my rent with the stablecoin? Then you're going to have Walmart use stable coins and all these others. Well, that's actually good because that's competition. So you kind of want that, unless they go out of business. Then you're holding Walmart stable coins that are worthless. No, thank you. I prefer just give me money that I know is worthless, but I just pay my bills for it. Like if I want an airplane, I use the money for an airplane, a hotel, food, utilities, my expenses. My gas, my car insurance, stuff like that. I'm using the dollar because that's what's used. Now, if I have to use stablecoin to do that, that shouldn't be any different. So, okay, but I don't want to. I don't want people knowing my business, and I don't trust stablecoins because they're not backed by anything. And to say that there's just because you name it stablecoin because you want it a stable thing is bullshit. In the market, it won't be stable. In the market, brics will hold the gold, and that's what's going to have the value. So the dollar and the stable coin will be worthless. Where's the stable coin going to get its value from? It's backed by the dollar, which has no value. So your stable coin's not going to be worth anything. How can it be? You can't even hold it or see it. It's not even real, just like crypto, just like Bitcoin. There's no coin in Bitcoin. There's no coin in stablecoin, but I love that they love calling it coin as if stable coin, as if there's coins of it. So it's really just ridiculous. I just think I think the whole thing's nonsense. It's Trump. He's like, oh, I can end the Ukraine war in one day. Yeah, 6 months later. Well, yeah, I can't even end it. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Gold is money because it's real. You can touch it and it can't be printed. And we never divert from that. Crypto is not real. You can't hold it. You can't just arbitrarily say it's worth something. The Montana rookie card's 110,000 because that's what people sell it for and people buy it for. That's the difference. That's what it's worth. So that's the whole point of it. That's why gold's gold. and the rest is monopoly money. So you can't just say, well, stablecoin to be money. It's got to be what most people want. It's got to be the most desired thing. And it was tulips, and now it's the dollar. It's people say, oh, this is good. It's easy. There's a number on it. I know it's worth $10 or 100 or whatever. And that's the key to it. So that's what you have. You have that going. So you want to understand it's not real money. And because it's crypto is not real either. And because Walmart's going to come out with their, what is it, like Jeffrey money at Toys R Us? That's about what it is. It's not going to be real money. It's going to be just Jeffrey money. It's going to be bullshit money. So you're not going to take 100 grand of cash and put it into stablecoin. You're going to put it into gold, not ETFs, not stocks, into gold coins. That's the point. Do not be fooled by this stablecoin, especially if Trump's making $2 billion on it. So I don't know what the value of it is. We want to run the other way. If Trump's doing something, we want to go the other way. Larry Fink. I'd probably want to be with the Russian mafia if I had a choice of the three stooges here. So be very, very careful. It's not real. Digital is okay for internet. Digital is not good for money. You need money you can hold. Now the credit card is, you owe on it. It's backed by it's money, right? If I spend $1,000, it's this. I owe you. I'm going to pay you in that. That's what it is. But stablecoin will be backed by the dollar. But because it's quick and it'll be stable. What, are you kidding me? Hi, David. Good morning. So I saw this video yesterday on stablecoin, and I wanted to share it with the class. And don't be fooled. It's not real. Again, it's got to be backed by gold. Now, if they came out and said it was backed by gold, I might think about it for a second, but I still prefer real gold, just like an ETF. Is it really going to be backed by gold, or is it going to be an ETF where 1 ounce goes out to 10,000 and everybody thinks they have gold, but they don't? Who's your favorite football player? Okay. My favorite football player. You don't like the stablecoin talk? Now or ever. I don't know. Now, probably I like Mahomes and Burrow because they make us money. I don't like Lamar because he always chokes. So there you go. All time, I probably like Joe Montana. So anyway, don't be fooled by these digital things that aren't real, because they're not, they're trying to sell you that a digital dollar has a value, and it doesn't. I mean, Bitcoin's what, 120 I saw yesterday, but it's not worth anything. I mean, okay, try to get it. And if you do, then what are you going to do? Oh, you got to get money for it. So what are you going to do in stablecoin? If you have to sell your stablecoin, you're going to get dollars for it. Well, why get out of the dollars then? So our goal is to get out of the dollars to buy gold, not play with stablecoin or anything digital where we're tracked and they know, oh, you went to 7-Eleven. No. You want to buy beer? No, you can't. Oh, cigarettes? No, you can't buy those. You want to go to Vegas? No, we're not going to let you. I mean, you do not want to be controlled. This is America. We do not get controlled. So be very careful, especially if Trump's involved with it and he's making $2 billion. Now we know the reason behind it. Follow the money. So I want nothing to do with it. I mean, next time you go to the restaurant or grocery store, ask them, do you take stablecoin? And they're going to say, no. Maybe it's coming, but do they really want to do it? And then if it's the same price as the dollar, my guess it'll be an option. They don't take Bitcoin now. My guess is you're still going to pay in debit and credit cards or money if you have, and maybe they allow you to do stablecoins, but I doubt that. I'm going to go to my gold guy today and ask him about stablecoins if they're going to take it, because I don't want to get paid in stablecoins and not be able to turn it into gold. That's my fear. So I want to ask and see what's going on with that. All right. So that's our stablecoin fiasco. We'll get into the war in a minute. I like this one. Trump train wrecked the economy, as only Trump can do. All right, let's go. Well, let me ask this question. I asked, what will stablecoin be backed by? Oh, I don't want to hear the theory. In theory, a stablecoin is designed to maintain stable value relative to specific asset or basket. So it's not giving me the answer. It's saying, well, it should be. It's a payment platform. What's wrong with credit cards? Invest in stable coins. Stablecoins are tokenized cash issued by private institutions on public blockchains, for example, Ethereum, pegged to fiat currency and backed by audited reserves. Unlike CBDC, stablecoins are not officially legal tender and have received varying levels of regulatory scrutiny and oversight. Well, how the fuck can they be? What do you mean? They're not legal tender, then why am I using a stablecoin if it's not money? Who will benefit from stablecoin? Big retailers such as Amazon are hoping to benefit from stablecoin because they would no longer have to pay billions of dollars in fees for credit card transactions. Oh, is that what this whole thing's about? Buying something on Amazon or Walmart may seem instantaneous. Are stable coins backed by real world assets that are often backed by traditional assets? But they don't give the answer. So basically, are they backed by gold? Our digital currencies pegged to physical gold reserves are designed to maintain a stable value, but they're not. See, they're not answering the questions. Can stablecoin lose all their value? Stablecoins are not necessarily stable. They rely on stabilization tools such as reserve assets or algorithms that match supply and demand to try to maintain a stable value. Historically, multiple stablecoins have failed to maintain their value relative to the underlying assets. Sam Bankman-Fried, the Anvil Neinhardt, all those guys. So that is your problem. All right. Take our look at gold. 33. See, now it's spiking back up. So you see the 10 o'clock hit there. Then it jumped up, jumped down, and now jumped 33.41 and silver 38.07. Again, this is just, it'll get to 33.50 or 33.60, and then it's being pushed back and it's sitting in this range. I don't know who's doing it, but I don't like it. But we know our gold's worth. See, the gold you can't lose value on. They can't do anything because of brics. See, we got brics in our back pocket, buying the gold, buying the silver. So as far as we have brics, we're fine. Who's going to buy stablecoin? Oh, no, I'm going to, sell my gold and buy stablecoin. Yeah, that'll never happen. So you always have that in your back pocket. Nobody wants dollars and nobody's going to want stablecoin. All right, let's look at yesterday's games. Milwaukee, 5-star. Milwaukee wins 12-5, now on a 11 or 12 game win streak. Kansas City loses to Washington as they try to catch Detroit. They played terrible. The White Sox over 8.5 lose. They lose. It's 1-0. So Detroit can't hit anymore. And the White Sox, I can't believe Troy Melton pitched 5 innings and just shut out the White Sox. I'm just shocked. Let's see. San Diego wins 11-1. That was a 3-unit. Philly under 8.5's a winner. They lose 8-0. Hunter Green shuts them out, and Sanchez gives up 8, but I'm sure he didn't give it all up. Seattle, we have Seattle under 8.5, which wins, and then we went to Seattle to win on the streak, and it lost. So we split there. Cleveland loses to Miami. There goes that streak. The Mets, where are we? The Mets lose. Their ace got sucked. And then we have Houston, which wins. So a tough day. California sweeps the Dodgers. So it just shows you, here's the Dodgers. Oh, they're the greatest team since sliced bread. And they beat Shotani 6-5. See, as soon as they take Shotani out of the game, boom. And Tampa beats Oakland 8-2. Hard to figure Tampa and Oakland out. Sometimes they score, sometimes they don't. All right, let's look at the box score on this. Shotani goes 4 innings, gives up 5 hits, 4 runs, 4 earned. So Shotani gave up a lot. He's now 3.47 ERA. Maybe he's not the best pitcher in the league. Banya comes in for pitches 2/3 of an inning, gives up 2 walks, 3.38. Roblisky pitches 2 innings with a 4.09 ERA, and then their ace comes in and gives up pitches 1 inning, gives up 2 hits, and has a 0 ERA. So the question is, why didn't Henrique go both innings instead of losing it, as they lose 8-7? So they gave up 2 runs in the 8th. California scored 2 runs in the 8th to win 6-5. So the question is, why would you have Roblisky out there with his whopping 4.09 ERA giving up the 2 runs when you have Henrique with the 0.00 ERA? He couldn't pitch the 8th because he didn't need to pitch the 9th, or he would have pitched the 8th and 9th. Kyle Hendricks, 6 hits, 5 runs with his whopping 4.88. And then everybody pitches an inning. That's all you can pitch. And we got 2.74, 2.82 are your closers, 4.47, 3.185. So both teams have shit bullpens. Again, California beats them. So let's look at today. So let me see. Overall, I go 1-1, 1-2, 2-2, 3-2, 3-3, 4-3, 4-4. I go 5-5. However, in units, I go 5, 3, 1, 4, 7, 4, 7, 5, 3, 4, plus 5 in units. But we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4. We go 5-5. But because we bet more on our strong plays, we make money. And that's what I do in football constantly. I might go 500, which isn't often. I usually go about 750. But I try to hit the bigger games, the locks, the big games, the strong games I have more money on. So if I win those and I lose the little ones, but my problem is I hit the little ones also. Anyway, so that's what's going on. Let's look at today. Today is Thursday, August 14th. We start with Seattle and Baltimore. We had Seattle, and they finally lost, so their streak's over. Seattle 139.5. Logan Evans 6-4, 4.36. Tommy Shigano 9-5, 4.24. I don't like it. Seattle lost yesterday. I don't, just because they had won 7 in a row and then they lose, I don't keep going with them. I get off of them because they lost. That's the marker to get out. If they won, we like Milwaukee, we'll just keep betting them until they lose, which might not be till the end of the year. But Logan Evans, this is an even game. I'm not going to bet it. The Cubs in Toronto, the Cubs 110-8, and we got Matthew Boyd 11-5, 245. Max Scherzer, it's the next Detroit game, 2-2 with the 4.21. Now Max Scherzer pitched much better last game. I keep an eye on that. His 4.21 ERA came against Detroit. He gave up a bunch of runs in a few innings, but he looked good last. So I'm going to go under here. Let's go Toronto under 8, 2 units, very small. But Matthew Boyd has got a 2.45 and he's 11-5. And Scherzer, the 4.21 isn't, it's less. So I like him. So that's what I'm thinking. So I'm going to go with Scherzer. I'm going to go with the under in the game. They can both hit, no question, but we're looking at ERA, and I don't know what's more important now because the managers pull the pitchers and go to the bullpen. They fuck up the unders, so we'll see what happens. Miami at Cleveland. Cleveland must-win game, loses yesterday. Miami 58-62. Like I say, they're not a bad team and a good hitting team. Cleveland 127.5. Edward Cabrera 6-5, 308. Tanner Bibby 8-9 with the 460. 7.5. Yeah, I don't understand that. Why? This looks like an over game. I'm not going to bet it because I'm perplexed, but I do like the game over. Two good hitting teams, although Cleveland hits and sometimes doesn't hit. Philly and Washington. So we had Philly under 8.5. They lost 8-0, but we had 8.5. Philly minus 208.5. Jesus Luzardo 11-5, 4.20 against Brad Lord 3-6 with the 3.28. This certainly smells like an over. Let's go Philly over 8.5. So yesterday we went under, but we had good pitchers. Now we have bad pitchers, and it's still 8.5. And Washington put up 8 on them. Philly's not going to get shut out again. Atlanta against the Jets. Jets. The Jets are 190-9. Joe Namath pitching today against Atlanta Falcon. They never had a quarterback. Bryce Elder 4-9 with a 6.12 against Cody Senga 7-4 with a 2.30. Again, I'm going to have to go with the Mets. 2 units. They need the game. They got a good pitcher. Atlanta's pitcher sucks. We'll see. Detroit at Minnesota. Detroit minus 210, 7.5. Tarek Skubal, their ace, who's starting to, I don't know if he's choking, but he's starting to give up 3-4 runs in his 5-6 innings. 11-3 at the 2.35 ERA. I don't know how it's that low. It should be higher. Bailey Ober from Pittsburgh, 4-7 with the 5.16. Plays him very well. Detroit's struggling mightily. They're choking. Minnesota, I don't know. They still beat Kansas City last week. They beat Detroit the other day. Hard to say. They beat them last week pretty good. So can they hit Skubal? Probably not. Skubal should be the play here. 210. Over 7.5 under. Detroit doesn't hit. They're not going to hit over. Let's go with Detroit with Skubal, but very small. You can't ignore he's starting to give up runs. His arm's probably tired. His body's got to be tired. There's a problem with baseball. It's every day. And then as soon as the idiot manager pulls them in the 5th inning, then you got the bullpen, and that's what you really sweat with. And Arizona, Colorado. Arizona 175, 12.5. Edward Rodriguez 4-7 with the 5.68 against Bradley Blaylock 7.89. Oh, geez, this is like softball. The over under 12.5. I can't lay 12.5 in Major League Baseball. That's how bad baseball is. You got a 12.5 total. So we got 4 games. Toronto under 8, Philly over 8.5, the Mets and Detroit. Is there any streaks that we should be playing on? They got busted yesterday. Cleveland, the Mets, Seattle, the American League. Everybody's on a 1-game win or lose streak. California's on a 3-game winning streak, but I don't believe they're playing today. And they beat it. They beat the Dodgers. National League. Milwaukee, 12-game winning streak. The Pirates are on a 5-game losing streak. I don't think they're playing. And then you've got San Diego on a 5-game winning streak. The Dodgers are now on a 4-game losing streak again. And then a 5-game losing streak, the Niners. So San Diego beat the Niners, our lock yesterday, and Milwaukee, our other lock. So do we have any of these teams playing today? Seattle, no, they lost. No, I don't see San Diego. I don't see the Dodgers. I don't see San Francisco. So I don't think there's streaks there. Well, California's on a 3. Then it's National League. Milwaukee, Pitt, San Diego, San Francisco, which I don't believe I see them. No, so we'll have to wait for tomorrow. Okay, so no streak. So again, we're going to play Toronto under 8.5, or under 8, Philly over 8.5, the Mets, and Detroit. And that's it, those 4. And that'd be it. So that's your baseball. Good luck on that. Let's go to the NFL. And Prime Jr.'s injured. Hurt his oblique. Big deal. Like we care. All right, let's look at today's. No, there's nothing today. Tomorrow's games. All right, so we'll just go through the list. Tomorrow, Tennessee at Atlanta. We've got Atlanta plus 11.5. The spread's 5.5, but I always talk in teasers when I talk football. 6-point teasers. I don't like the 7, and I don't see the need for them. Take the 6, get the better odds, and that's it. 6.5, 7 make no sense. Because if you need that extra point, you shouldn't bet the game in the first place. So we go with Atlanta plus 11.5. And KC has switched. Seattle's plus 3, so we get KC plus 9. Thank you, Lord. So you got to take KC and 9. Why is Seattle even favored? Seattle isn't any good. I mean, who do we got here? I like KC's backup quarterbacks, Zappy and Minshew. And who does Seattle have? Seattle has Locke and Milrose. And they're probably not using Darnell. So Locke and Milrose. Yeah, I like KC's quarterbacks much better. Zappy's very good. See, Andy Reid can spot talent, so New England lets Zappy go, and here's KC eating him up, going, hey, we'll take him. He's good. He is very good. Western Kentucky. So we're taking Atlanta as a home dog, and then we're going to take KC anytime they're a dog, even if it's preseason. Houston, 2.5, 38.5 to Carolina. I don't like this at all, and I'm ignoring it. I don't trust Carolina as a dog. I don't trust them as a favorite. Houston, very weak quarterback, who their backup is. Slovis, Mills, and Mertz. I mean, Larry, Moe, and Curley, you got to be kidding. So I'm going to avoid those at all cost. Cleveland at Philly, 4.5, 37.5. So now who's Philly's quarterback? Because if Prime Jr.'s not playing, and Gabriel's not playing, and Pickens isn't playing, it's going to be Huntley the whole game. He's not bad. Probably good. Philly, they looked really good last week. pounding my Cincinnati team. So I think Philly gets the win, but I'm not gonna. We'll just watch that one. I don't. Oh no, I did play Philly. Okay. I played Philly over, and it's over 31.5. And I played it with Green Bay, and Green Bay, Indy's 6-point favorite for some reason. I don't know why. Daniel Jones. So I get Green Bay plus 12. So that's my teaser. Philly over 31.5, Green Bay plus 12. Yeah. So Philly, I like. Philly scores, right? Cleveland without Prime Jr. won't score as much, but Huntley, I don't mind. Joe Burrow still threw 2 touchdowns on him. I think Cleveland will score something, but Philly looks like they got the offense rolling. So we'll see what they look like in this week. New England, Minnesota. New England 2.5, 39.5. Why are they favored at Mini? So I like Mini getting the 8.5 as the home dog because I can't figure out why. Oh, because Drake May can run. It's not a quarterback. Mini's got a good defense. I'm not going to play much. Mini's quarterbacks. I think this is where they're in trouble. Howell, Rippon, and Brosmer. What is Brosmer? He sucked at Minnesota. Yeah, he'll do better in the pros. Howell and Rippon. I think what they're doing is getting the cheapest quarterback they can get. That's my guess. So they want a very cheap quarterback. And that's why they go to a Brosmer or a Mertz or someone of these. Like, well, if our quarterback gets hurt, we're done anyway. So that's how I view it. Green Bay and Indy, we already talked about. Okay, Miami, Detroit. Miami 2.5, 37.5 in Detroit. We took Detroit getting 9, and we playing them with the Rams. And the Rams are getting 10, but we'll get to that one. So Detroit, I think Detroit plays well at home. I think Campbell doesn't like to lose. Miami's terrible. They had a big fight after practice the other day. Williams, what else is new? That guy's a criminal with some guy who used to play in the Lions. So I don't know, making a big deal out of it. We'll see. From what I read in the practice, the St. Thomas has been eating up Miami's defense, but he won't be playing because he's playing in the practice. The practice game where they don't wear pads or anything. Or maybe they wear it, but they don't allow tackling and hitting. I don't know. It's just very weird, but that does not replace the game. St. Thomas should be out there, and all the guys, golf, God knows he needs to work, should be out there. But okay. San Francisco and Oakland. Oakland, 4.5, 40.5. I didn't play this one. I kind of like, I don't know what I like in it. We don't know who's playing. Chip Kelly will be working on the offense, and you got Coach Pete. So I think this is a close game. It was 23-all. I think this will be another close game. I'll probably take the Niners and 10.5. Tampa at Pitt, Tampa 3, 39.5. The Baker, but you're going to be dealing with Kyle Trask, and I don't want to bet against him. Pitt, you're not going to see Rodgers, so you're going to see Skylar Thompson and Rudolph. I wouldn't want to be down 10 needing those guys to score for me. New York and New York, the Jets and the G-Men. Giants 3.5, 39.5 to the JETSs. The Jets, you're going to get Fields, Cook, and Martinez from Nebraska. And the Giants, you're going to be getting Dart and Danny DeVito and Winston and a little Russell Wilson. Yeah, good luck with that. I don't know. I wouldn't take either team. They're both. Well, New York will be good, but Scatterboo hurt his hamstring. Hopefully, he's not too much. San Diego at the Rams in the same stadium. We got San Diego 4, 37.5. We will see. San Diego played well against the Lions, and in their next game, they killed whoever. the Rams, there's no Stafford, but you have my guy, Stenson Benson from Georgia, 2 national titles, and nobody wants him. Okay. Yeah, go to Fields. Yeah, play Fields instead. That's how stupid these guys are. So I like Stenson Benson getting 10. That's the bet. I got him with Detroit getting 10. So Stenson getting 10. It's at home for both teams. San Diego, I don't know. I think this will be a tight game. Baltimore goes to Dallas. Baltimore 1.5, 36.5. And we know how much Harbaugh likes to win the preseason because he can't win the postseason. So he likes to win the preseason. Likes to win these games. Baltimore's quarterback, Leary and Rush. Cooper Rush is really good. They got a good running back in Ali going against Dallas. And you've got Dak, who stinks. Will Grier, who's really good, and Milton, who stinks. So if Will Grier were to play the whole game, they could win it, but they won't. So we will see. Arizona goes to Denver. Denver 5.5, 40.5. We've got I like Denver. Let's see their quarterbacks. Bo Nix, Ellinger, and Stidham. Very good backups. Arizona, Kyler Murray won't play. Brissett's very good. Toon stinks. So it's how much of the backups. I like Denver's better. I think Denver wins this game. Probably an over, depending on how much, they play the second team defense. Jacksonville, New Orleans, Jacksonville, 2.5, 40.5. What a bunch of bumps here. Jacksonville, you've got Trevor Lawrence, who's terrible. Mullins, who's better. Hennigan and Wolford. They're in big trouble, and they go against New Orleans, who's in bigger trouble. Rattler, Hainer, and Shaw. 7 terrible quarterbacks. Oh, my God. I don't know. I'd have to take New Orleans. I can't imagine Jacksonville going on the road and winning even a preseason game. Buffalo goes to Chicago. Chicago, 2.5, 40.5. Normally, I'd be all over. Buffalo would be a lock if we ever got Buffalo as a dog to Chicago in a regular game. Chicago, big trouble. They've got Caleb, who stinks. Badgett, who's very good. Case Keenum, who's very good. And Reed. So their backups are better than their starter. And Buffalo, Josh Allen, of course. Trubisky's terrible. White was pretty good. And Bouchel, I don't mind. So the backups are good for both teams, but I don't want anything to do with it. Normally I'd take I see. Okay. I took Buffalo over 33.5. So I'll go through my plays in a minute. So I ended up taking the game over because I think both coaches are going to score. Cincinnati, Washington, Cincinnati, 4.5, 42.5. I doubt you'll see Daniels. I would assume you'll still see Joe Burrow. He played in the first one, and it was good. He hit for 2 touchdowns, so he's ready to go, Joe Burrow. So we will see. I don't know. Washington didn't try last week for an effort. I don't know. I don't want to bet against Burrow. We'll see. This is a game. Maybe it's an over/under. I can't decide on it. So here's my picks. Tomorrow, Atlanta gets 11. Kansas City now getting 9. I love it. Philadelphia over 31.5. Green Bay plus 12. Detroit plus 10. The Rams plus 10. And Baltimore plus 4.5. And Buffalo over 33. Those are my 4 tiny picks. Please don't bet a lot. It's preseason. Yes, I did wonderful last week going 4-1 in my teasers, 9-1 in my picks. Again, I had Oakland in 2 teasers, Kansas City in 2 teasers. No, I had Oakland in 1 teaser, Kansas City in 2. And that's the key to teasers. The key to teasers is finding that game and then putting it in multiple teasers. Because once you have the game and you know it's going to win or you feel very confident, bet it in 2 or 3 teasers. Because if it's going to win, you might as well maximize your money. Now you might say, well, why don't you just bet 3 times on it? Well, if I find the other partner those are my locks, and that's why I play 25 units. So I'll play 8 and 9 units on the regular, and then I see the lock, and then I see the partner to the lock. So I got, here's an A, here's an A, here's my lock, put them together, and I do bet a lot more on them. Those are the master plays, sort of like what I did yesterday with Milwaukee for 5 units. That was kind of my lock, or the theory of my lock, and it won. So you try to do that. That's how you bet football in sports and poker. When you get that killer hand, you bet it. And then you kind of are cool with the other hands until you get that, you flop the nuts. Okay. Slow play, all in on the river. I never really go all in on the river when I do that. I might slow play it. And then it's like, $100. I don't want to scare them off, but I want to think I'm buying it. And I get called a lot on it. But I don't, you don't push all in. Okay, yeah, that's a bluff too, but I'll take the 100 because I'm not going to get called on the all in. I can tell if I'm going to get called. I can read the other guy, and I know if I go all in, will he call me? No, he's probably not, because they're pretty much scared of me when we play poker. So I got to keep it cordial. So that, my friends, is football and baseball. Again, how do you bet? You bet on the stars. You bet against weakness. So you always want to bet strength and bet against weakness. The New York Jets, the Bears, Jacksonville, Carolina, New Orleans. That's who you want to bet. I'll go. New Orleans has the new coach in what's his name? The lefty. Jesus Christ. I can't believe I can't think of this guy. I'll think of it later, right? It'll pop in. Who's the lefty? Who's the coach of New Orleans? He was the Lion. Kellen Moore. I knew it would come in when I didn't think of it. So, yeah, I mean, he's a good offensive coach. I don't think he's a good defensive coach because he probably doesn't know it, but he probably understands it from reading defenses as a quarterback at Boise. The Lions really screwed him over. I don't know why they drafted him. He was a great backup. They never really played him. And, I always thought he was better than Stafford. Now I don't, but they should have traded him. I mean, what was the point of having him and not using him? He was very talented. He played for Dallas, threw for 400 yards, and then broke his ankle, and that was it. So, anyway, 10 times better than Dak Prescott. All right, so that's sports. So we have the summit. Okay, let's look at Egon here.
Since we started with investing in gold 25 years ago for wealth preservation purposes, we recommended fairly high percentage, up to 50%, maybe from 20 to 50% in gold already 25 years ago. We think that's the percentage you should also invest today. Another wealth preservation asset and a real asset is silver. Today, silver is massively undervalued in relation to gold. Gold-silver ratio is now at such a high level, which means that silver is likely to move faster than gold in the next few years, and that could be twice as fast, 3 times as fast. We've seen $50 gold in 1980, and we saw $50 gold in 2011.
You mean
and
silver,
these periods,
obviously.
it's been down to virtually $10, and it's still under $40 today. We believe that this time that's going to happen fairly quickly. Silver will move $50, not stop there for very long, but move on from there. So we think it's a real opportunity to acquire silver for wealth preservation purposes today. Silver is more volatile, so we recommend that investors hold 20 to 30% of silver today, which is more than the average we have recommended over the years. But today we think it's a real opportunity. So you can comfortably hold up to 30% in silver because you're going to see major acceleration in the silver price in the next few months and years.
This so-called peace deal.
So that's Egon. So he talks wealth preservation, which means you have $500,000, or you might have $50,000, whatever you have. You don't want to lose it. He's already mentioned crypto. I showed you yesterday where crypto, it could go to 1 million or it could go to zero. It's a gamble. It's an investment. Just like stocks, you could make money and lose money in it. All these investments you can make and lose. The key is when you make to sell and get out and then look for a new one, not to, but there's very much risk in these stocks. So you must understand that and keep that in your mind. You don't know, you have no idea. Nothing is safe. They do, all of a sudden tariffs come in and you're in Apple or you're in Microsoft. They could go down. Microsoft's in China. So you got to be careful. Now you're getting all these other reasons like the economy where that's it. So be careful with that. Gold and silver, you have no risk in the portfolio if you buy physical, or there's little gold Bitcoins. That would be what is it? What's the word? Ironic. It would be ironic if you had the gold Bitcoin for the gold, not for the Bitcoin. So again, it's to preserve your wealth. You have 100 grand, you have 500 grand, you have 1 million, and you want to keep it. You buy gold and silver. Now, you can still play around and buy stocks and buy real estate trusts and annuities and all the other stuff, but you've got a lot of risk, and the biggest risk is that the dollar isn't worth anything. This is what you got to understand. This is going out, right? Everything's going gold. Everything's going China, Russia, BRICS. So you can play those, but not only do you have risk in the play, but then you have risk that the dollar just collapses. And these stable coins are not going to help you with the dollar. The only one that stable coins are helping is Trump. He made $2 billion on them, I assume, because he bought them cheap and now they're worth more. That's the only reason they're worth more, because they're low. But I wouldn't jump into crypto. This is like the Pied Piper here. He plays the flute and all the kids follow. This is not good. Do not follow Trump. Do not follow digital currency. What is it? You don't know. Ask to see one. You can't. They're not real. Stablecoin, it's just a word. It's not really stable. It's backed by the dollar, which is backed by nothing. So you have to, be in assets backed by gold. It's as simple as it, because they can't print it. You're not going to lose. You think Bitcoin's 120. When are you selling? Oh, I'm never selling. It's going to 1 million. When the dollar goes out, what are you going to, you think it's just going to keep going up and up and up? You're out of your mind. It doesn't work that way. So keep that in mind. It doesn't work that way. You have to understand that. And that's really the key to it, is understanding money is the medium of exchange. You can't all of a sudden come out with Bitcoin or stablecoin and call it money. It isn't. You can't just say it's money. Oh, now it's money. I mean, you did with this, but it's what everybody wants and what everybody accepts. Is everybody going to accept stablecoin? They don't all accept Bitcoin, and nobody wants to spend Bitcoin because it keeps going up. So nobody wants to spend it. It's not money. Will you go to spend stablecoin? Will everybody accept it? I don't know. Walmart's going to have their own stablecoins. You're going to have to buy stablecoin from Walmart and Amazon. You're going to have to use theirs. So now the key is, Amazon saves on the credit card 3.5%. So the credit cards cost you 3.5% for the transaction fee. So stablecoin will get rid of that. So stablecoin, no more 3.5%. There won't be a charge. Oh, bullshit. Of course there'll be a charge. There might not be a charge now. It's just like electric cars. It's free to charge your car. Now it's a little bit expensive. Now it's going to be a lot expensive because there's not enough electricity to go around. So what starts cheap does not end cheap. And we know that all the time. So you don't want to be caught in that. All right, let's see. I did look at this castor oil and black oil, and it solves a myriad of things. So I have castor oil. I will run out and buy some black seed oil. I'm sorry, black seed oil, and you just mix it up and you apply it. Like if you have pimples or stuff on your face or stuff on your arms, you want to get rid of it. It gets rid of. Now it doesn't get rid of it in one day. You apply it for a little bit. It's like my hair growing in. You can see here, there. It's a little bit harder to see, but it's a lot thicker. And so I didn't do it the first week. It didn't do it, or the first month. But all of a sudden, I woke up one day and it was like all this hair. So it takes, give it a month or two to do it. Maybe it'll be quicker for you, but that's what you want to do. Nevada's $98 billion industry is cracking. So what do you have there? You have big problem. We can watch this. This is 4 minutes.
To pretty much take it all: fridges and dishwashers, dressers, drawers, couches, mats.
I've been to Vegas probably 20 times. And I definitely think this is the slowest I've seen in a long time. You can find close parking in the casinos. You can drive with no traffic. It's pretty smooth.
And why do you think it's kind of slow?
Honestly, just right now, times are hard for a lot of people. It's just tourism is down everywhere, even in Florida. So I think it's just people saving money, getting ready for school. We're really close to that as well.
By now, you've probably heard about the growing concerns stemming from a decline in our tourism numbers. The impact goes well beyond all of our friends and family who work in the hospitality industry.
So tonight, part 2 of Steve Wolford's week-long Las Vegas reality check to take an in-depth look at the impact our visitor decline is having on all of us.
We hear it all the time. Tourism is the economic engine that drives the local and state economy. That's why when that engine isn't firing on all 8 cylinders, everyone feels the pain, and some a lot more than others.
So I have 3 things going on for my business.
Jimmy Singh runs Las Vegas Souvenirs and Gifts, and the soft tourism numbers are rounding out his trifecta of financial terror. His business takes a hit because of his location on Koval. It's right in the heart of the F1 street closures. Nearly all of his merchandise is imported and subject to tariffs. And now
I saw that also for now, the tourism is less than, last year's. We see like a 30 to 40% down.
Jimmy says foot traffic through his gift shop is way down.
We ask all the time, so where you from? And, we talk nice. And this year, I didn't see that many for people who's come from overseas. So I saw less, very less.
And he says a big chunk of his customers are, for now anyway, choosing to stay north of the border.
Canada is more worse too, actually. We have like lot for Canadians, lot. Everywhere I see the Canadian, and now no.
So what do those tourist dollars really mean for Nevada's bottom line? According to Applied Analysis and the Nevada Resort Association, tourism has a $98 billion economic impact on Nevada. It supports 1/4 of all jobs, generates 22% of all wages, and pushes 34% of the tax dollars into the general fund, resulting in a $3,000 reduction in the tax burden per household.
I think that the mood in Carson City, especially toward the end of the session, was gloomy. As the numbers began to roll in as the reality of what the forecast was going to look like.
Alan Feldman is the Director of Strategic Initiatives at UNLV's International Gaming Institute. He says when tourist-driven revenues from gaming and the resorts come up short, state lawmakers aren't usually inclined to raise taxes, so the burden is felt by all of us.
I think in Nevada, the more historic response has been cutting programs, reducing programs. So it's not just politicians who are concerned. I'm confident there are teachers who are concerned. There are library staff who are concerned. There are hospital staff who are concerned. I think we're more likely to see those kinds of things first before anyone gets real about increasing a tax of any kind.
But is this tourism skid part of a cycle or the new normal? Some are afraid it might.
Okay, we get it. We can talk better than they can. So basically, your costs have gone up too high. You got Trump with the tariffs. You've got Trump charging for visas, although I don't know if they need them from China. It's just the cost to get here. Nobody wants to come here. You've killed that. Even though it's Vegas, nobody wants to travel to the U.S. You have, so they're not getting Canadians. They're not getting the Chinese, who basically are all losing their ass anyway. Things are too expensive, so even the U.S. people don't want to travel there. So you can see most of their travel doesn't come from me and you and Detroit and Chicago and wherever going to Vegas. It's the Canadians going, it's the Chinese going, the Japanese, and they're not going. And it's a lot of it, they don't want to fuck with the resort fee. That's ridiculous. So they just assume, look, I'll go to Macau instead and gamble. Or they're not as wealthy. And so when you don't have as much money, you're not flying to Vegas. Vegas is broke. They're bankrupt. They are going out. The Strip has no visitors. And we'll see with football seasons, usually a very good time to go to Vegas, but we'll see how that reacts. Right now, she's talking, it's the Strip's law. Well, it's the middle of August. You're not going to have a lot in the Strip. So we will see about that. Again, you're in a big recession. You got massive inflation. Your dollar isn't worth much. Are you really going to go gamble? Well, I want to eat and pay my bills. I can't really go to Vegas where they want to hit me on 40% or $42 for parking and high hotel rate and high food rate, and these resort fees added to the hotel bills. So they're not interested in that. So you're chasing people away because your costs are high. Simple economics. Again, here's the market, and Vegas wants to push their cost up to here, their prices, and you're saying no, and there's nobody home, and Vegas is going to go broke until they come down to the market, and they're over market now. And until you get to the market, you go broke. When you come down to the market, that's where it is. But you got to realize the market is going down. So you're here, and then the market's going down because of the inflation. And the tariffs really don't affect us much unless some of the goods we buy might have a little bit of a kick. I mean, if we buy food and stuff, I bought the clicker yesterday. It was $9. Nothing big. But that's the thing. So the more things cost us, the lower this market goes. And if you're up here, and this is the housing market, the car market, the travel market, this is all the same. The markets, the prices are up here, but the market's down here. That's why you're crashing, because you got to come down to the market. Where are my buyers? That's what you got to come down to. And when you come down to it, then you get it, right? Once you get there, then you can continue. But before then, it's not a crash. The housing market isn't crashing. The people want to sell it for more than the buyers want to pay for it. It's not a crash. It's just you're taking the money out of the thing. Oh, what are we going to do now with cryptocurrencies and stablecoin? You're going to buy a house with stablecoins? Well, that's backed by the dollar. So no, I don't think that's it. Where am I going to get these stablecoins? I don't want these stablecoins. I want my money in the bank. I want dollars, even though they're worth nothing. I need something to buy food with as I pump everything into gold and silver. So that's really what's happening in Vegas, in the housing market, everywhere else. Alligator did one on gold will be no more. So it's mostly brics going. It's a bad title. It makes it sound like that. Is it physical gold? What the fuck is he talking about? So let's look what Alligator is talking about.
If you haven't exercised in years, you have to start small with my beginner-friendly Tai Chi. And they want to now control price. And they want to now control pricing. They want the pricing to happen in Shanghai, not in London and not in New York. So that, I think, is a very, very big change. And I think this is one reason why we're beginning to see the gold price and also the silver price really begin to move up. Well, I don't think it's going to go down the giving up capital control route. I mean, I don't see that really. I think initially what it's going to do is it's just going to look at trade, if you like. And so the way it will work, and at the moment there's no fixed rate at all between the yuan and gold. That might come later, if you like. But for the moment, I think that the way it is going to work is you'll have an SGE controlled vault, say in Saudi Arabia. It's the Shanghai Gold Exchange, which is a wholly owned subsidiary and company controlled by the People's Bank of China, which is the central bank, if you like. So which means this is very much a government body. The stock market is run by the government. It's not a private company like the ones we're used to seeing in Europe. And gold can come in and go out in exchange for yuan. There will be no other cash used. Okay, so let's say you want to make a deal with Saudi Arabia to buy oil. I might not try another deal. Then the Saudis might not mind if you pay in cash. And that case will be put in the safe. When they come out, they will have Chinese yuan, which they can trade for anything they want. This won't just be something that China does then. I think that other countries will be able to do business, but only Chinese yuan will be accepted as payment for and receipts from gold. That's how I see it. But I'm sure things will become clearer over time. If I were the Chinese government, I would say that the dollar is in its last stages of death as a world settlement currency. We don't know how long it will take. There's a chance that it will take a year, a month, or even 10 years. But we can see that the dollar is falling faster after Trump is chosen. The time of paper money is coming to an end. The dollar is going to fall at some point, and China needs to protect itself. The yuan will fall along with the dollar if she doesn't put it on some kind of gold standard. The dollar is the most important fake currency. Everything else that isn't a dollar goes away. Yes, it's really that easy. Why? The moneylenders will try to tell you that the value of money depends on more than just the amount, the growth or shrinkage of the amount, the money supply numbers, and everything else. You also have to think about how much faith your suppliers in that currency have in it, because they're all tied to the dollar. You can see that other currencies will also lose value when the dollar does. Okay, so they're not really linked, but they are linked to the dollar in a real way. If you will, the dollar took the place of gold as the standard for foreign value. Any other artificial currency will go the same way as the dollar. So from China's point of view, the yuan to gold as a safety net in case something goes wrong with their plans to survive after the dollar. And I think what they did by quickly choosing to open SG vaults abroad and let people from other countries start trading futures directly is a good thing. It's not just gold either. Also, it's all the metals on the futures market. They have basically taken a very, very big step to protect themselves in case the dollar really does turn back and drop to zero. I don't see it, though. On a currency board scheme, the Hong Kong dollar works and has worked very, very well. Putting the US dollar and the Hong Kong dollar together, it worked great. Everything is fine. But if the US dollar goes away, the Hong Kong dollar will need to find a new currency board link. That also seems like it will be gold. I don't see any other choice. It needs to be a new plan, I think. You make a good point when you say that China will be running its business in a very different way. I think what we're looking at right now is, okay, let's say the dollar is really in a lot of danger. We need to protect ourselves from going to zero, which means we need to keep the gold under control. That's putting it in very simple words. That's how people are thinking right now. If the Chinese are smart, which I believe they are, then there are some very smart people there, especially when it comes to knowing money, credit, and all the rest of it. After all, they still know that gold is money and everything else could be just hot air. I also think they know that the Industrial Revolution, which they're trying to control or mostly take advantage of, is a new version of what Britain went through in the 200 years before the 20th century. And especially when we had a gold standard from 1822 until 1914, when war changed that. The success of the Industrial Revolution in this country was built on the fact that gold kept the value of money stable. By the time of the First World War, this country had built 80% of the world's ships. The UK is what I mean by this country. At that point in time, I think the population of the country was around 20 to 25 million people, or something like that. We pretty much ran the whole world. That was different before the First World War. London really was the world's banking hub. That's how strong sound money was. It really was. And I also think the Chinese are smart enough to know that when things change, they'll have to stop helping companies by printing money, taking on more debt, and other things like that. Somehow, they seem to have learned how to deal with debt. Especially with the area governments have had a lot of trouble in the past. They know all of these things, but they're still just after the money. They'll play a different game when the dollar goes away too. I believe they will play the gold game. No, but you're right about the 1980s. That's when the rules were made by the Chinese Communist Party's Politburo, which meant that the People's Bank of China was in charge of the country's gold and silver reserves. their acquisition, and everything else. And we should remember that in 1983, most people thought you needed to have at least 10% of your assets in cash. This would have been a very strong belief in China as well. So if we think about it in terms of gold stocks or something like that, from 1983 to 2002, there was a bear market in gold. Now, this was a great chance for the People's Bank of China, which was in charge of all deals involving the country's foreign reserves, to trade some of the foreign reserves it was building up for gold. And I estimated at contemporary prices, it was quite possible that by 2002, when the Shanghai Gold Exchange was opened, and then for the first time members of the public were allowed to acquire gold, I think that during that time, they probably got about 20,000 tons of gold. Now, many years later, they will have a lot more. This is partly because they have pushed mining so hard that China has been the world's biggest gold miner for many years, though production is now going down. They've also brought doré in from other countries, mostly places like Mongolia and others. And none of the gold that is made ever leaves China. I've said that it's like Hotel California for gold. Also, you talked about this flood, if you will, of gold moving from the west to the east earlier in the interview. This has been going on for generations and generations. I think there is a kind of Marxist view of economics behind all of this. That capitalism destroys itself, and the loss of credit value in a capitalist market is the clearest example of this. So whether it's right or wrong, that's what they see now. I think that's what made them want to collect gold in the first place. And for China, it's now a big problem that they need to make sure doesn't affect their power.
At 7 News Detroit, your voice matters. Watch weeknights at 5 and 6.
Their power. They were also surprised when they saw that President Trump had been elected. I think this was bad news for the world economy because of his policies on tariffs and other things. And then there was Liberation Day. The first thing that happened was a statement from, I think, a trade office or something in China, that they were stepping up talks with Japan and Korea to make the three of them a free trade area. Then the following week, President Xi went to visit several ASEAN countries. Let's say these countries are in a trading bloc or free trade area, with most of them in East Asia. One of them is Myanmar, which you should know. There's Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, and more. You have all of them. There are about 10 of them. Clearly, trade was being talked about when those words were used. What are we going to do about the problem that President Trump gave us all? We need to work together on this one. That seems pretty clear. What wasn't as clear at the time was that the Shanghai Gold Exchange, or the People's Bank, if you prefer, it still controls the Shanghai Gold Exchange, then said they were going to open Shanghai Gold Exchange vaults outside of China for the first time. And since then, we've heard that they're going to open a vault in Hong Kong and one in Saudi Arabia. Just why Saudi Arabia? It's not really part of ASEAN, but that's where all the oil comes from. And of course, I think that the Saudis, if you will, would really like to have a currency that at least keeps its value when they can see what the Chinese can see, which is that the dynamics of dollar credit are weakening the currency. Even the Saudis, who don't send any oil to the US, not at all. In other words, even the Saudis want to be a part of this. It seems likely that you'll get another one. Bangkok seems like a good guess. Then just over a week ago, the Shanghai Futures Exchange said it would let buyers from other countries use its platform. The Shanghai Futures Exchange lets banks do business as is, but they need to set up a Chinese company to handle the payments. Foreign banks and other financial institutions can now join the exchange immediately and trade on it. Now, this is because of two things. One reason is that the yuan is becoming more use around the world. So it's clear that that will become the currency used by the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and the BRICS. That's the plan. It will take the place of the dollar. That's the first thing. The second thing is that, and I think this has a lot to do with it, London and New York City, OMEX, have been in charge of gold prices up until now. Now that's different. Chinese companies are by far the biggest players in the real market, and they now want to set the prices. They want the prices to be set in Shanghai, not in New York or London. That's a big change, in my opinion. I believe this is one reason why the prices of gold and silver are starting to really go up.
Well, hopefully. So what does he say? Gold is the real money. Everything else is credit. So where does stablecoin and Bitcoin go? They go and everything else is credit line because they're really dollars. So that's why you want to buy gold. So the stable coins, it's just a Ponzi scheme. Be very careful about getting into it. I would advise heavily not to unless you're forced to. where to buy food, you have to use stable coins. Well, then we have to, but generally if we have the option, and I believe we will, because the banks aren't going to go away. The banks run the government. So the banks aren't going to just, well, we use stable coins, we won't use the banks anymore. So I don't think that's going to happen. I think it'll be like now, you can buy Bitcoin and you can't use it anywhere because nobody accepts it, but you can get into Bitcoin. But you still need dollars to go to the grocery store and to go to lunch and dinner and things like that. So just be on the take of that. You've got to be very careful with that you have the physical goal to protect yourself. So as I said, the Titanic sinking, and the first floor is stocks, and the first deck stocks, the second deck's bonds, the third deck is now cryptos. It's all going to sink. So if you're on the first deck, second deck, or third deck, you're still going down to the bottom of the Atlantic. Only gold and silver are the lifeboats, and that doesn't change. Crypto, it's not backed by anything. That's the whole theory and thesis that I go by, is this is worthless because this is monopoly money, is not backed by anything. And that's the one point you've got to understand. If the money isn't backed by anything, it's worthless. Even if it has a 5 on it, this is worth €5. That'll buy you a pack of gum, maybe. Depends what country. So even though it's got a little paper and it's got a president, it's got a 100 on it, what does it buy? What is the value of it? And that's really the key to it, is understanding the value of that. And that's where you've got to, that's the key concept to understand. Once you understand that, then you realize gold and silver. Now, you can buy stocks and you can buy, I don't know why you'd buy bonds, but you can buy stocks, you can buy cryptos, but you got to get in and out. You can't hold them long term. It's got to be in, make your profit and go. Whenever you gamble, and that's what you're doing in the stock market, that's what you're doing in everything, you got to know you're in and out. We go in when red's hitting roulette, and when it hits black, we leave. When I'm hitting the poker and I'm up, and then as soon as I start, somebody flops a set of sevens on me and I got aces, I get out. When the cards start changing, I get out. When the 7 outs start happening your craps, you get out. So when your luck changes. So right now you see you're blind to what crypto is. You're blind to what these stable coins are. They don't explain them. They're not going to be backed by gold. Again, if we had gold, we would come out with a gold-backed currency. Look at BRICS. Why aren't they using stable coins? Because they're not real. So BRICS sits there and they go, we're going to buy gold and silver, or mostly gold, but they're starting to buy silver as it gets too expensive. They're trying to get you off of that. It's like the lion's running kind of a reverse. We want you to go this way, but we're going to come around this way with the reverse. That's what they're doing. They are trying to get you out of gold and silver because they can't control you in gold and silver. And they want you in stable coin because Trump benefits because he's got all the stable coin, just like the Bitcoin. They benefit when you buy it. Now, I don't know anybody stupid enough to buy Bitcoin at $120,000. It's not you guys. I don't know who's buying it. I don't know. Pension funds can buy it or not. Big companies, I don't know, but run and hide with these cryptos and digitals. It's not what you want. I think I have one more with Egon. Let's look at this Egon one.
We're looking here at a pyramid of global financial liabilities of $2.5 quadrillion. I repeat, $2.5 quadrillion. It's such a big amount that it's almost impossible to comprehend for most of us. But just if you relate it to all the gold in the world held by central banks, that is just $4 trillion. So you have $4 trillion supporting the financial system, which has liabilities of $2.5
$2.5 quadrillion. So the gold is only 0.15% of world financial liabilities. That is obviously an insupportable situation, and either liabilities in the world will come down, of course, with all the assets in the world, which will also come down when the liabilities come down. And also, of course, the other side of that is that gold will not stay at the current levels of $3,300 per ounce. So we will see an adjustment in coming years, and that will be, in my view, an implosion of the financial system. You have to remember that might sound dramatic to some, but in no period in history has a financial system survived. Every monetary era ends up by money going to zero and the value of debt collapsing. So that has happened for thousands of years, and there's absolutely no reason why it won't happen today either. It's only a question of how long it will take. And as we know, debt in the world now is growing at an exponential rate. Just take the US, the debt level there around 37 trillion is now going up by at least 2 trillion a year, probably more, especially with this new beautiful bill that Trump has just got through Congress. That bill in itself is a dangerous instrument because it makes the rich richer and the poor poorer. And that is, in the long run, what, of course, revolutions are created out of. It is not just happening in the US, it's happening in the rest of the West, in Europe, but that's an unsustainable situation. With so little gold and so much debt, governments and central banks only got one solution. That is what they always do, print more money. But as we know, we can't solve the debt problem by making more debts and printing more money. So we are going to see at some point in the next few years a collapse of the financial system. I know it sounds sensational, but as I said before, it's history. It's always happened. It will happen this time again because all currencies have always gone to zero. So what do investors do to protect their wealth? For the ones who have a little bit of savings at whatever level, you should own some physical gold, you should own some physical silver, you should hold it in a safe place. You have bigger amounts, it should be in a safe jurisdiction, probably outside the country where you live also, because in history, it's always been wise to be able to escape to your gold when the country you live in gets into problem. And as I said, you must have direct access to your gold yourself. In our view, that's the best way to protect your assets in coming years, because as we know, history tells us the system will not survive as it is today.
What would you say to...
So we know this. So that's why they're doing the stable coins. Our dollar's collapsing. So what do we do? How do we Ponzi scheme everybody to go into stable coin? So Trump makes it, but they're trying to scare you into stable coin because they all know the dollar's collapsed. The dollar's worthless. Ask the Romans what happened, right? So the dollar is collapsing and we have no gold, or we go into gold. So they go into stable coin as the fake out. Oh, we'll put them in stable coins and it'll still collapse. It's still in dollars. So anyway you look at it, we're fucked. There was one I wanted to show. Okay. Here's the one on does it work for stablecoin and Bitcoin on Egon?
Many people believe that Bitcoin is an alternative, or cryptocurrencies are an alternative to gold. In our view, that is not the case. You cannot beat money that has existed for thousands of years with some electronic money on a memory stick or in a computer that in itself has no intrinsic value. In our view, Bitcoin could certainly go to $1 million, but it could also go to zero. And that's a risk that you don't want to take for wealth preservation. Bitcoin might work as a payment system, might work as a speculative investment, but it doesn't work as a wealth preservation asset. So therefore, do not hold cryptocurrencies for wealth preservation. Hold gold or some silver that you actually have possession of yourself in a safe vault, in a safe jurisdiction. That you will not achieve electronic money. Thus, gold is the only real wealth preservation asset there is.
So there you have it. And why do I play Egon? Because he's a Austrian economist. So that's what he's saying. The stable coin's not going to work. Only the gold, and the reason is because you can't print it. You can't inflate it. Printing's inflating. You inflate the dollar, it's worthless. Oh, we'll come out with stable coin. Why is that any better? It's just like coming out with USD number 2. What's the difference between US this or USD number 2 because we were going to replace these dollars with some more bullshit dollars, like what happened in Germany. The Reichsmark printed and printed and printed in 1923. You needed wheelbarrows to get milk and eggs. It finally went to zero. Nobody wanted it. When nobody wants it, it goes to zero. So Trump's trying to come up with stablecoin because the dollar's gone and it's electronic. So you're all fucked because, it's gone. Sorry, your money's gone. You want to hold your money. I want to hold my money. Now, I know this isn't worth much, but my gold and silver sure as hell are. And I know they're worth money, and therefore you can't take them from me and you can't make them go to zero because BRICS will keep the prices up. China's not going to let it go to zero when they have 70,000 tons, or Russia. Putin will never let it go. So you have the value. We're going to go to the China, Shanghai, and a few other. Russia will have a St. Petersburg. They'll have these instead of COMEX, the physical pricing mechanism for gold and silver. And that's what we're waiting for. And then you won't see 3,000 anymore. You'll see 10,000. So Trump's going around because it's price fixed by JP Morgan and these options, the paper gold and silver market, he keeps trying to push it down. So you run the stable coin. Because if you see gold at 6,000, 7,000, who's going to run into stable coin? Nobody. But if it's, gold doesn't move, it's 3,500 and 3,400. And look, Bitcoin's at $500,000 right now. Buy that, even though it's not real. And so my only thing is if you can actually get out of Bitcoin, so it's at 120 and you can, I'm going to sell, go try to sell it, get the 120, you're going to pay tax on it because now it's not private. But then what can you do with it? Nothing. You can't use it. So you have to trade it in for dollars, and that's the problem. So now you're back in this. So now you got 120,000 of this. So people in Bitcoin are blinded because they sit there and they go, well, I've got 10 Bitcoins, so I'm worth $1 million. You're not worth anything. Get the money. It's still in this. I told Luke about his friend who's got 4 million in his 401k. He's broke. Well, you got 4 million monopoly money. That's worth zero. So he's got zero. That's what he's got, even though it's 4 million. 4 million of nothing is nothing. So Bitcoin, all right, you got 10, you got a million, one. All right, try to get the money. Good luck. Try to get it. Pay the taxes. How are you going to pay the taxes? How are you going to get the money? Because you can't use the Bitcoin. So you got to turn it into dollars, which are worthless. And this is what people can't connect the dots with. You buy stocks. I got Apple. Look how much. Amazon. Look at it. Okay, try to get the money. Again, you're going to get 1099 in tax. And then try to get I got to turn it into dollars. Which are worthless. So they're playing the game with you're starting with the dollar being worthless, and then your stocks or Bitcoin or whatever or houses are in dollars. And you got to get out of dollars. So how do you do it, right? So you got to sell your Bitcoin, sell your stocks. But I don't want to do it. Bitcoin's going to keep going and the stock market will keep going because Trump signed a stable coin. That's going to solve everything. People don't even know what it is or how it'll work. How is it going to save anything? It won't. So you've got to be careful there. Anyway, that's what's going on. So good luck today. Baseball, Toronto under 8, Philly over 8.5, the Mets and Detroit. Again, home prices to
If you haven't had a ticket in 3 years, you're probably owed $710 from your insurance company. Both missiles, period.
So you got home prices crashing 50 to 80%. So you got the economy going down. All you need to do is switch the dollar for gold, not stable coin, and then the economy would be fine. But we don't have gold. Or if we do, Trump's stealing it all and not letting the country use it. I don't know what he did in Fort Knox. Who knows? The gold coming in is to pay the options because now with Basel III, you have to pay if somebody stands for delivery of the gold or silver options. You need it. You need physical to pay it. That's why they're bringing it in. So again, keep that in mind. Otherwise, the fast worked well. I definitely feel thinner like I used to, and we'll go from there. Daria loses. She loses internet in St. Pete sometimes with the war going on. Jenna's getting bombed in Odessa every night. There's bombs, and she's freaking out as you would. I mean, you can't even understand it because we live, I'm in Detroit. I don't hear bombs every day. I don't hear bombs ever. So imagine you're sleeping and a bomb goes off, like a real fucking bomb. Now they're aiming for military targets, not the public. So they're not hitting apartment buildings and stuff, but we will see. But Ukraine might destroy their own buildings to not leave them up for the Russians. I don't know. The summit's a joke with Trump and Putin. Putin's like, I'm not taking a break and I'm not giving back land that we won. And that's where you're at with it. So we will see. And then we have, the gold and silver. So let's check what's going on today. Let's go back with gold and silver. And gold's 33.33 and silver is roughly 3,800. You can see this bullshit. It goes down $5 here. It goes up. It goes down. It's just options. It's all bullshit. 33.33. And then it'll be back to 33.50. They just wanted to say, look, gold's down. Get out of it. And silver, why is silver down 58 cents? No reason. Nobody's selling it. Everybody's buying it. Go buy stablecoin. All right. So let's go over here. And let's see what the Dow is doing today. And the Dow is down $143 to 44.7. Let's go back and see if there's this stable coin priced. So if I go into here, crypto, let's look at Trump coin. The official Trump coin, which he bought at 60, is now down to $8.98. Oh, a market cap of 1.8 billion. A lot of volume, but it's going down. So 898 for Trump's. So it started at 50. Who set that price? Trump did. Trump sold it, and it goes all the way down to where it is now at 895. This is what you're going to get in stablecoin. Trump makes his money. He sells it. He's not going to keep it because it doesn't have any value. I don't know what you're going to call this stablecoin. Ethereum or Ripple. Let's look at. I don't know. What would you? I guess Ethereum. And that's up to 4,500 because everybody thinks they're going to use it for the stable coin. The stable coin related. So we look at the Trump one, and that's what you're going to get. So don't trust it. It's not real, and it's not backed by anything. So be careful with that. And we got brics behind us. They got all the gold. Why aren't they in Bitcoin and stablecoin? Because it's not real. They might trade in it, but they're not. If you want to hold your wealth and become wealthy, you're in gold and silver. That's all there is to it. You're not in any of this crap. Anyway, I guess that's about it. So any questions or comments, let me know. We will go from there. And that's about it. So www.teaserking.com. Hope you enjoyed. So beware of stablecoin. You want to be Trump and Putin are having their little say today. Let's see if the colonel is saying anything about it. I don't really like her. She doesn't get it. Is gold being sabotaged by secret policy moves? She's talking paper gold and she doesn't even understand what she's talking about. Big, huge inflation. That's what we're worried about. That's why you buy gold in the first place. $12 trillion shock. Trump's Swiss gold trap. Spring shut on him. So he did. I think he was trying to tariff Swiss gold, and they probably told him to fuck off. So here's one from our good doctor. Cancer hates these fruits. Big Pharma doesn't want you to know. So I was talking to a lifeguard yesterday, and she's going to this college, and she said, "Well, what are you going to do?" "Oh, I'm going to go. I want to be a cancer doctor and cure cancer and whatever." And I'm like, "All you got to do is eat this. You want to cure cancer? Don't eat sugar, and it hates oxygen. So as long as you drink water and don't eat sugar, you will kill cancer." So I don't. It's like I'm kind of thinking to myself, what the fuck is she going? I mean, all you got to do is don't eat sugar, and you won't have cancer. What is she doing? I don't like this guy at all. Silver shock ahead. I don't even like the headlines. Right, this changes everything for silver. Stackers must pay. Must pay what? What's he really?
Energy? Take caffeine. You want better memory and focus? Take lion's mane. You want to reduce stress? Take
So you're living through a moment that.
See, it's not. It's they must pay attention. Silver stackers must pay attention. Radio continues analyzing connection of the silver market to general. It's all based on that. I don't really like this guy. He tries to make things that aren't true, or he says everything's in cycles. There's nothing in cycles. You have gold, the gold-backed currency, and then you get big, and then you expand your government, and then you go to war, and then you get off the gold standard to print money so you can go to war, and then your money collapses. Well, that's not a cycle. That's just what happens. So it's just funny. Anyway, I think that's it. Here, Putin's victory sealed. NATO has no way out. I will watch this. He's good. He tells it like it is. So that's what you want. So I don't like, people will lose their gold and silver. They're not going to take your gold and silver from you. A, they don't know you have it. And B, you could have it in Switzerland. So they're not taking it from you. They're not going to come to your house and take it. Just stupid comments from some idiot who doesn't know what he's talking about. That's probably paper gold and silver. So he's saying history repeats. So because they took your gold in 1933, they're going to take your gold now. Well, that's not true. It's a different circumstance. We had a gold-backed currency back then. Anyway, enough of that guy. I don't really like him. So that's it. www.teaserking.com. I will talk to everybody tomorrow. Good luck if you're betting the games. Good luck on football tomorrow and the weekend. Enjoy, and hope everybody's well. Take care. All right. Be good, everybody.